Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Artez and welcome to another episode of Battlefield Play4Free PTE First Look. Today we will be looking at the latest PTE update, which consists of Phase 1 of medic weapon testing, which consists of nerfing of the most OP weapons and buffing of the underpowered and underused weapons, such as the QGY88 and the M240B, only to name a few. But the nerfing is going to the MG36 and the QBB-95. They are nerfing the MG36 because of course it's OP and the QBB also. But let's begin with the MG36. The listed changes are that they've increased the recoil both vertically and horizontally. They've increased the deviation, both initial deviation and build-up deviation. So the more you shoot full auto, the more your bullets are going to deviate. And they've also decreased projectile velocity from 700 to 650, which is a 50 difference. So you won't be able to tell that just by testing, nor will I think you'll be able to tell that difference just by shooting at people. It's not a major difference, so that's not really something to focus on. What there is to focus on is that increase in recoil and deviation. So we're going to begin by testing out the recoil pattern, see what that looks like. And there you have it. It's all pure vertical recoil, going up, no left or right or down, nothing. It's all pure vertical recoil, which means the recoil is going to be very easy to manage. Just pull down your mouse down and you're going to be very accurate still. And I forgot to mention that I am doing this without attachments at all. The only attachments I'm using are the extra mags, just so I can have more ammo, because I don't have anybody with me that can give me ammo. So that's going to be a problem. So that's why I got extra max, but that's not going to affect the testing at all. It only gives me more ammo. And I'm also going to be doing this, each test in rounds of 30 rounds, just so I can conserve ammo. So, you know, I'm not going to use the whole, I guess you could say, magazine, just to conserve ammo. So now we're going to move on to hip fire full auto. And there you have it. It's a pretty big radius, big bullet spread. So, and for an LMG, the MG36, I'll admit, does have a decent hip fire, but you won't be using hip fire as much because, of course, it is an LMG. You want to aim down sight and make your shots count, because LMGs in general do not have good hip fire. I'm only doing this out of curiosity. But now we're going to move on to hip fire tap firing. And here I created a much smaller radius. Here it is. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullets outside of this radius here, but most of them make contact. But like I said, you're not going to be using hip fire as much because this is an LMG, and LMGs are just not good with hip fire. So now we're going to move on to close quarter full auto. Oh, that wasn't 30. Sorry. Alright, and there you go. Very small radius, even on full auto. Still very accurate. 1, 2, 3 shots out of that radius, but most of it made contact within that radius, so it's still very accurate. Now we're going to move on to close quarter tap firing. And this is pretty weird, but I think I have an explanation for it. Here we have a good radius. You do have a good amount of shots outside of that radius, but I think because of tap firing, each time I tap fire, the recoil restarts. So the recoil restarting goes a little bit down, a little bit up, depending on where my last shot was. So when that recoil starts, the iron sight goes a little bit down or sideways. So it wasn't accurate as full auto and close quarter, which is pretty weird. I feel like the full auto and close quarter was much more accurate than the tap firing. So that's one thing you want to pay attention to. Now we're going to move on to mid-range full auto. And here we have a pretty big radius. I wouldn't even consider this a radius because you have a pretty big amount of bullet spread everywhere. So the radius is this big. There's nothing much to say about it. The recoil, I'd say, is still very easily manageable. So now we're going to move on to medium range tap firing to see how that works out. So here we see that tap firing does benefit me this time. Here we can see that there's a smaller radius. We have 1, 2, 3 shots outside of that radius, but most of them make contact within that radius. So on medium range, it's much more beneficial to tap fire. So now we're going to move on to long range full auto, see how that works out. This is about long range, I'd say. And here we have it. That's a pretty big radius, as I can see right now. It's almost like the medium range full auto radius is pretty big. You do have a good, like a nice radius here with where most bullets go, but you do have a lot of bullets outside of that. So that's that accuracy on long range. It's not very good. So now we're gonna move on to long range tap firing, see how that works out. And this is the long range tap firing range. Accuracy. You do have a smaller radius. The other one's much bigger, but I'd say this radius is right here. You do have a good amount of shots outside of that, but most of them go within that radius. So even on long range, it's still fairly accurate. And remember, I'm doing this without attachments, so slap on some really good attachments which lessen the deviation, and I'm sure it's going to be as accurate as normal. So my analysis on the MG36 is that they need to work, especially, like, let me show you once again. The recoil is very easily to manage, not hard at all, and that deviation, look at that spread. It's little spread, very accurate shots. So that's one thing that they need to work on. Recoil, both on recoil and deviation. They need to work on the MG36 a little bit more by increasing the recoil and deviation. Projectile velocity, I can't say anything about, because just on this testing, this type of testing, I can't say anything really because it's not much of a difference. But that's my analysis on this. They need to add recoil and deviation for phase 2. Now we're going to move on to the QBB-95, and the list of changes for that are that they've increased recoil both vertically and horizontally, especially when aiming down sight, and a slight pullback when you shoot on long range and medium ranges. So that's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to feel more recoil when aiming down sight, and slight pullbacks when you're shooting on medium ranges and farther than that. So now we're going to begin with the recoil pattern, see how that looks like. And as you can see, it's pure vertical. Well, not vertical. Vertical and to the right. So, you know, it looks sort of like the AUG, but the QBB's always been like that. So now we're going to try out, of course, hip firing, but, you know, it's not going to be that good, I think. Full auto. And yeah, that's pretty bad, I'd say, for hip firing. But of course, this is an LMG. This is just out of curiosity. It's not going to affect that much. Just know that to aim down sight with an LMG, because hip fire does not work with LMGs. So now we're going to do hip firing, tap firing. And here you can see I created a fairly small radius. The other one's huge, a lot of bullet spread. Here you have most of your shots making contact within this radius here, but you do have a lot of shots also. So I'd say 50% in this radius and the other 50% outside. But that's just a guess of mine. I'm not sure. Now we're going to move on to close quarter full auto. And look at that. It's still very accurate, I'd say, even full auto. Very accurate, I'd say, fairly easily still manageable. So there you have it. Now we're going to try close quarter tap firing and see how that works out. And there you have it. The radius looks more vertically this time. You do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots around it, but most of them make contact within this vertical radius, which I'd say is very good because, of course, the bodies of soldiers are vertical, not horizontal. So that's a very good thing. Now we're going to move on to medium range full auto, and this is where we should feel a difference, because it said you will feel a slight pullback on medium range break point. So let's see how this works out. Oh wow, okay. Here you have a good radius up here. Yeah, you do have a lot of shots around it, but I don't know if you were able to tell, but as I was shooting, the recoil was fairly consistent, but then it'd break. Like, it would move as a recoil, of course, and then break. Recoil, break. Recoil, break. I'm gonna do tap firing now and see if you can tell what it looks like. So now I'm gonna try it out. Wait, no, this is mid-range here. Yes. Okay, tap firing. And there you have it. I created a smaller radius, of course, by tap firing, which improves my accuracy. So most of the radius is here. You do have a couple shots around it, but still, I'd say it's still fairly accurate. And I guess it wasn't that noticeable then, but now let's try long range. I'm sure you will definitely be able to tell it on longer ranges full auto, so let's try it out. Notice how when I'm shooting, the recoil breaks sort of to the right or to the left. I'm not sure what it is, but let's try it out. I noticed it's a little bit more to the right when it breaks. So here you have it. It's not too accurate, of course. Full auto, it's never really accurate on longer ranges, but I could definitely tell again that it does this. It sort of breaks. It's your recoil and then it breaks. So now we're going to try on long range tap firing, see how that works out. Let's see, this is good. Okay guys, so I'm back. I had to cut it there because someone actually joined now, which restarts the whole server. So now I'm on the other side, but I'm still going to test the long range on the QBB, see how that works out. But I already did full auto, so now we're going to do tap firing on longer range, see how that works out. And here you have a fairly big radius, a lot of bullet spread, a lot of consistency on that radius. I'd say a fairly amount of space within each bullet, but this is a big radius, a lot of deviation within that. So my final analysis on the QBB is that I'd say they've done a good job increasing the recoil, but what I think they need to do is increase the deviation. So I think they should leave the recoil alone as it is. I feel like they've done a good job in increasing that recoil, but what they need to do now is increase the deviation just a bit, and I'm sure it'd make the QBB much more balanced. So yeah, that's about it with this I guess PTE First Look. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like my videos, please subscribe. If you like what I'm doing with this type of series, please leave a like and comment. And I'd also like to mention that I'm very close to reaching 200 subscribers, which I will do another big giveaway, but unfortunately I cannot give everyone or a lot of people one thing. This is going to be a limited thing where the giveaway goes to one person, unfortunately. So I'm sorry guys, I cannot help a bunch of you guys with these awesome gifts, but I will try and do some of those game giveaways more in the future, but this time I don't have any of that. So yeah, please subscribe if you haven't, and welcome to all the new subscribers. Lately I've been receiving a lot of new subscribers, which I'm very happy about and glad. So I'd like to thank everybody about that. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.